sees in very, very Chinese, as he said.
Very Chinese as opposed to somewhat
Somewhat
Chinese.
Chinese.
Somewhat Chinese can speak
He's actually
English
been
pretty
on the
well.
road with him trying to communicate.
We don't have an officer for political correctness here, that's for sure.
That's me. We did run amok a few times today, but it happens. We weren't too bad. We weren't too bad.
We are live, so
Okay.
He is-
political correctness.
He's not moving his feet are in the right, relaxed mode.
I've been flying the quadcopter this week.
Yeah,
I've only been in the woods a couple of times. The
been in the woods.
Yeah.
What's that mean
Yeah,
exactly?
well,
He's flying in the woods, chopping
yeah,
down.
flying over the woods.
limbs.
We have like 5 acres, and I've been flying over the woods, the back part. And my first mistake was my rule is if you can't see it, go up.
It
Yeah.
was on my
See it.
desktop.
And I ran into a tree. Okay. And,
Oh, so it was below some branches or something?
well, I was flying next to a tree, looking at the top of a tree, looking for a bird nest.
Yeah,
And then it got out of sight, and I was going to the left. I said, well, there's not a tree to the left. I'll just go to the left, and then I'll find it. Well, there was a tree to the left. So
That stupid tree moved right in the path.
yeah, my strict rule of if you can't see it, go up. You know? So I'm
That
learning.
makes good sense.
And my last one, my trick today was to make it automatically land. It's got an auto land thing.
oh, really?
And so it'll come home and land. It didn't quite make it home.
They ran out of
Hey,
juice or
Marcus.
what? It came down, and it couldn't come any further for whatever reason. It ran out of juice before it landed. And then I
His
got
feet
the
are
prowl and
relaxed,
the
man. There's a picture of him with his feet under.
So they don't auto rotate down?
No. These things are light enough to where I've never damaged it.
I
on
sort of
them now.
already
They're
did.
so light
Sorta. I'm
that,
good. I'm happy.
but it didn't quite, it was about 50 foot short of making it back home when it came
Oh.
down. But what happens is, when I tell it to come home, in my program, I make it go up.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't do that. I think I'm gonna have to set the altitude down a little lower. It's way too high. Set it higher than the highest tree and leave it at that. It's probably set at like 400 feet is a return switch. So I need to set it down maybe at 150, higher than any of the trees. Yeah, cut down all the trees. That's how
What
I'm
is,
getting
so,
I guess
based on your experience about how high are the tops of the trees?
He broke his rule.
Yeah, they shouldn't be more than, what's the highest tree? Maybe,
They're like whatever full-size tree that would be, so maybe 100.
yeah, probably 100
Okay.
would be safe.
What are they? Are they oaks or
No,
or
we don't have
maples?
It just came down, luckily crashed so I could find it.
A lot of dead ash around.
Yeah,
Most of those are dead, yeah.
most of the ash trees, they don't have to worry about those anymore.
Except if they fall over on your house.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad scene.
Okay, so let's introduce ourselves. So
I don't know nothing.
who are you, Art?
I'm Art Elsey. I'm here visiting from California.
2.5 weeks left.
2.5 weeks left. 27th, we get on the big bird and head west. Probably be back sometime around the end of December, a week before Christmas.
We'll send out a meeting notice. Maybe before the meeting, you know, it is. It was before the meeting today.
It was.
It was 1:30, I think, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, but it's the hours before the meeting. Not minutes, not seconds, hours.
Not the time when you're just walking in the door.
No.
Well, it was long enough that I actually saw it at home before I got in the car to drive here. So I consider that to be, fine.
Appropriate, okay.
Vicente Gonzalez, I like everything about robotics, electronics, make things,
What about drones?
drones,
Hey, you
blend them.
didn't have anything to do with anything down there, did you? No, no drawings for Elizabeth. Okay.
I'm Leroy.
Leroy's the club vice president.
I'm the vice president.
Presenter today.
I do stuff.
The vices, he's in charge of all the vices.
Have a cigarette.
Yeah.
I'm the vice person. I don't know.
And Marcus, who are you?
I'm Marcus Davis.
He's Marcus.
I am Marcus Davis. Actually, I'm reading a good book now. You were going to ask me what I've been doing, so I'm actually reading a good book. It's on how your company can use Internet of Things to compete in the compete in the outcome economy. Now, what does all that mean? And then that's actually pretty interesting because what they're saying is that, you know how you go in and you do requirements and all that stuff, and you go away, you build something for a customer or whoever your company. So what they're saying is that the really thing is like if you get a car, I mean, what's the purpose of the car? I mean, the purpose of the car is not to put gas in it, not to do all this other stuff, and that's where Uber comes up, you know. All I want to do is get from point A to point B. So that's the outcome that you're looking for, right? To get to point A to point B. Now, how do you get there? You know, it could be a car, could be a bus, could be a thing. But what is the best solution that I can provide? So they're saying with the Internet of Things, of course, is that you're able to be a part of that. So if you put a thing in a company, you have access to that data. So you become more of a partner now, as opposed to somebody that puts something in the company and said, oh, you know, go away, call me if something breaks. Now you become part of the solution. So the outcome is what they're looking for. So you take care of your thing and you allow them to have the outcome that they need. So I mean, anyway, it's a pretty good, I started reading it on vacation. It seems like a pretty cool book. You look at me like, I don't think anything weird, anything cool about that. You are weird.
It's going to be interesting because, you know, if you have an Internet of things at your company, well, you have access to it, but what if you no longer work for them? There's a lot of politics with that.
But you know what I was thinking about that too is that if you go in and install something in a company and you're you know a provider vendor, what you should really do is own all of the stuff. I mean, you go in and you solve this problem, right? You go in, you take the stuff, you don't make them buy, you know, the little. I mean, the price of the things now are so cheap. I mean, why shouldn't the vendor could just say, okay, I'm going to carry all the cost of the product or the thing.
But you could ransom them, and the vendors would do that. You have to turn over what you have to the company.
But you don't do that as long as they're paying. You're not going to ransom anything.
That's insane. You know, you walk away and you got the keys to the thing. Well, okay. Well, the price just went up double support. Monthly support went from $10,000 to $20,000. Oh, you don't like that? Well, too bad. I own everything.
I've got everything.
Yeah, I got everything. Not gonna work.
Now, is your wife going to walk away and say, hey, I got everything and just say bye-bye?
Yeah.
Because you got a good relationship. The relationship, see, it's about the relationship.
No, you got to pay me more. That's exactly what I'm
Okay, moving right along. Who are you?
I'm Mike Loud. I'm here to learn from all you guys.
I'm Mike John, just
having fun.
casual thinker.
And you?
Gail.
What's her name? What do
It
you
all
do
sounds
today?
good.
You good today?
You know what it is about
Everything.
Okay, Leroy, you ready?
You all right?
I don't know.
Is it resting?
It is resting.
Mike,
I'm
informed me
resting.
that
I'm resting too.
It's resting.
There's a couple of things before that I thought people might be interested in. Chrome OS is getting ready to release a patch to let you install Debian Linux files, which I found interesting. They've released it to the high-end Chromebooks already, and I guess for testing purposes. And
So is this gonna be a VM on?
I don't know. I read a thing about it, and it hasn't quite filtered down to all the other, but it's in the pipeline to filter down to all the other books.
Now, there's an article in the list there that tells you how to put it on your Chromebook. Okay. But they asked me about it, just look, the link should be there.
If the link says something about crouton, that's like the old way. This is going to be native. It's going to be natively supported.
So this will not be a VM mission.
From what I've read in the couple of articles I read, it's going to be a native thing.
That's interesting.
It is. And I guess they're hoping that more developers will make apps for that, and then it will help both the Linux and the Chrome OS. I don't know. And the other thing, I really probably should have posted. I just found this, so I didn't post it anywhere. But there are a couple of new Arduino boards coming out from some company in European called Fish. It's got an ESP32 on board and a PIC32 something. Is 32-bit processor, and it's supposed to be a heck of a board, and it's small. It's teeny tiny, but it's like $45. So it's like, that seems like it's out of my price range.
I don't even a pick on it. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the Europeans love the PIC. Anyway,
Yeah,
so.
well, I did a long time ago, a lot of people pick.
They were talking about a new version of Linux, the Google was, and they were saying that the big draw for it is it's going to be, more robust. And one of the weaknesses is you can't download your apps to it. They're working on getting all the apps to work on Linux, and that would be a big draw. That would be a big deal. And then you could compete with Windows, because Windows has all the apps, has a lot of the apps. So that's a big deal.
I have a continuation of something I brought up a few weeks ago about GE using Azure. Now we know why, because now they did all this work with previous, and they were saying that we're going to be a large software company a few years ago. And you saw the commercials. I mean, they were claiming we're a software company. So they're backing out of that now. They're backing out of that. They've realized that it's not so easy to be a software company and also make jet engines and refrigerators and stuff like that. So
It's not so easy to do everything.
yeah, that's right, exactly. So they're actually, they're going to sell off some of their assets.
Oh, what about the guy that's making the electric car?
Musk.
Elon.
He may be in trouble for tweeting that.
Yeah,
said that's
he
a
may not be this wonderful
Maybe a
God that we've been
violation.
worshiping.
I want to go private. And they said,
I haven't been worshiping Elon Musk at all.
No,
period.
no,
I
okay.
never really particularly cared for the man. I like the technology. I don't like the man.
SpaceX has been pretty.
Yeah, I sort of worship. I have to admit, I worship the technology around them. I mean, the fact that somebody had the guts to do that. I mean,
yeah,
it's just the guts.
definitely
Yeah,
an
he's done some good
entrepreneur on
stuff. He
steroids.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's not a god. Okay?
No, he's not. I don't think. Yeah, I definitely think that, and I didn't think he was perfect either. Matter of fact, I'm sure that's what we're seeing, the cracks in the armor.
Yeah.
Because you can't be. I mean, you can't even keep a wife. And you actually. I mean, because he's probably insane. I mean, he's probably
He's on the edge between. How can you be a hyper entrepreneur?
Exactly.
The only two perfect people I know are you and me.
Well, I'm saying,
Everyone else is screwed up.
Sandra, did you get that?
All right. So are we ready for
I'd
whatever
have a nervous breakdown.
for whatever it is I'm actually doing, which I'm not even sure I'm doing? So I bought this little guy right here, and Auto's not loading. Well, that's right. It didn't load last time.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing earlier. Sophie's, that's probably the filter guy.
I could show pictures of it, I guess.
That's the
So this,
non-generic version.
no, this is the original version.
The original version.
Yeah, this is not,
This-
Auto, yeah, Auto's the original.
this is a name brand, this is
Yeah.
not the generic version.
That's the generic, one of the generics right here.
Auto is it's an open source platform, so anybody can take it and copy it and remix it and do whatever they want. But this is the original. It was a 3D printed deal, and it's gone through many different changes and different things, and people have done crazy stuff like put LCD displays on it. And
Evolved.
there's Auto Minion.
Was it open source from the very beginning?
Yeah, it's always
But
been open
It
source.
was an environment, automation and, iteration.
It's always been open source, but this one here is probably close to what this one's actually based off of because of the feet.
He's got monster.
But Auto is Auto.
Frog feet.
So this is a commercial version of it. It's made by Sunfounder, and it's $60. And hey, so they provide their own software and their own hardware. It comes as a kit, and you put it together. And it actually was pretty easy to put together. It was actually easier to put together than I thought it would be. There's a couple weird things, but once I looked at the schematic for it, I kind of understood what they were doing. So a couple of pin numbers are like 16, 17, and 18, which the Nano doesn't have a 16, 17, or 18, but they're using part of the analog pins. And those are actually numbered in the IDE as like 16, 17, and 18. And I went, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I have found obviously the servos are easy to find. They're little 9G servos. The Nano is a Sunfounder Nano, but I mean it's a Nano. There's nothing really different or special about it. Uses 18650 batteries. Battery holder is easy to find. The only thing that I have not been able to find is this stupid servo board that has, I think Sunfounder made it themselves, and it's got a voltage regulator and capacitors to help, rough out some of the jitter and whatever, but I haven't been able to find that. So if you're going to try to copy the laser cutted files, you just need to get yourself a generic servo.
Now, when it's not working, what's the advantage of curling the feet, or moving the feet?
Well, basically, if I didn't, I would not have been able to get the batteries in or out.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That makes sense, 'cause you get the batteries
So
underneath.
you have to roll the feet to the outboard side.
I have to. I don't know if I have
To
to.
give you more space.
I just couldn't get to them otherwise.
Are those 18650s?
Yeah. So to build this, it took about 2 hours to build. It really wasn't hard. At certain points, you stop and you power it up and let the servos move to their native positions, and then you put the things on there. And then inside the code itself, you actually can go back in and tweak it. So if it's just a little off, you can actually tell it. I'm running autocode on this right now, and it hasn't been tweaked, but it's close enough that it works. The only thing that I changed in the autocode is the pin numbers that it uses. So it's supposed to be doing the Michael Jackson dance and we'll
Yeah,
see.
you're talking about
Oh, Michael
moonwalk.
Jackson.
Smooth Criminal, the Smooth Criminal dance,
Oh, okay.
which
He had so many games, it's hard for me to keep track.
see the one thing. Oh, that got a little loose. I wonder why that loosened up. The power switch on this doesn't quite.
Doesn't latch well.
There it goes. Now,
What
I
video
bought
was
this
that?
directly from Sunfounder, and I got almost all the parts I needed.
Almost.
Almost got over.
The two screws that are on the bottom feet, they're supposed to be flat, and they've got they got a little head on them.
So they're oval head rather than flat head?
Yeah, well, but the instructions say and show a flat-headed screw going in. I didn't get any flat-headed screws. I got all round-headed
Is that
screws.
why there's a little gap?
Yeah,
between
and
the
that's why
surface of the table?
that's why it jitters a little bit too. It's not quite low.
Stable.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's smooth.
It is acrylic. It's a little bit thicker. I'll pass it around with
How do
people.
you keep the cost if you go out and try to get all of this free? Did you buy the kit? You bought the kit, didn't you?
I bought the kit for $60, and yes, I think
You think you can get it? You think if you went out and bought each individual?
Or
I
you
think
could
so.
get, you could go below the $60.
Oh yeah, I mean a Nano is what?
Like, but what about the structure?
We know Ray.
Oh, you just go get it. Oh, okay, all right, okay.
But what does acrylic really cost? It's
I got you. Yeah.
it's what, $3 or $4
Right.
for.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Okay.
So there's $3 or $4. Yeah, he's still dancing. He'll go for a while. It's $3 or $4
So that's
of
called
acrylic.
Smooth Criminal?
Yeah,
What video was that?
Smooth Criminal.
Oh, is that what it's called, the Smooth Criminal video?
Maybe call it up there so we can compare.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
Now,
it's
see, I
nice
remember
that-
this move right here.
Yeah,
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see
he
the
does
round eye.
Oh, I know which one it is. When
he
they do
does that lean.
Yeah,
that
that lean, that's
real far
He has
lean.
that white.
Yeah.
I think it has white on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he leans real far, and he
Yeah.
raises one leg up, and
That's
but
it's coming for you, Jim.
so I found a nano, is only a couple of bucks. The servos are only a couple of bucks a piece, if
The
that.
round screws that like
So you got
Here's a
4
click.
servos. So you got what, $8 in servos. You've got another $12 in plastic maybe. You got 99 cents in
That is pretty neat.
the ultrasonic. You got so that's $13, and you got another couple bucks in the Nano.
So the bill of materials is under $20.
Yeah, I would say the bill of materials is under $20. I can't fault him for wanting to make money. I mean,
Did he have a white brim hat too?
Thought it was black.
But it had either had a band on it.
Yeah, it had a band
Yeah,
around
it had
it.
a band around it.
It's kind of like
Oh look, it
Exactly.
completely turned around. Now it's coming
I
back.
bet Jim could do that.
Jim. I bet you
He could do that.
Do the dance?
Aren't
Oh,
you
yeah.
taking notes?
Oh,
You
yeah,
can hear the
Leroy's
clicking
doing
of
it.
the round screw heads hitting the table
Yeah.
like tap shoes.
Yeah, actually, it works better with the
With
dance
the
because
tap shoes.
the
That's right. That's right.
It's tap.
What thread size are they, do you know?
M8 something, M8 by 10.
M8?
Yeah, that's the
That would
that's
be
the
a
neat
very
part, though,
large
isn't it?
diameter.
That's actually pretty cool.
See, that's why I'm pretty sure that
How much
man
code do you
the
think
I'll
they had
look,
to
but
write?
I'm pretty sure the manual says
How
M8.
many lines you
But there's no way those are M8, right?
M8s are gonna be like, almost a quarter of an inch.
They're using.
No, it'd be
they're
a
using-
third of
they're
an
using sub- If they're using subroutine.
There's 25.4 millimeters in the inch.
Yeah, and they use the subroutine, so they have certain moves that are.
M3s?
call that
They're not
mover
M3s.
thing, yeah.
They're smaller.
M3s is
M2?
possible.
On the surface, it looks like it could be.
M2s
pretty,
certainly
yeah.
possible.
Sure. A lot of times you start that stuff and it's like.
All I know is they
Yeah.
didn't give me the right ones. And
Yeah.
the manual, I was just matching pictures.
M3,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
they use an A somewhere and they change the 3 by
And they basically just didn't edit it properly.
Yeah, that may be true because I'm pretty sure that like I said, it did not translate real well.
You could tell if you
M-
had those feet.
M3
you could only
flatheads
get one
would be easy
battery
to
and
get.
barely. Yeah.
Ace or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think
Pretty good.
I think
balance.
Lowe's has.
Well, my Center has a box with 8 sizes on
Still going.
Yeah.
for $4 or
$4, that's cheap enough.
Yeah, you can also get assortments
You get
on
like
Amazon.
four of them all doing it.
I ended up
They would
using,
bump into each
That
other.
would be
one of the screws was too short. It's supposed to be a something by 6, and it was, or by 8. It was something by 8, and it was too short. And I found one in my box of junk. So, like I said, they gave me almost all the parts I needed.
They do their sentence, you he'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. Almost all the parts.
For a single screw, you can go to Ace
Yeah,
and check in the drawer.
Now, if the
I-
tariffs go.
I'm pretty sure I
It's
bought.
expensive,
That
but
$60 would be.
I bought-
$100.
I think I bought a little pack of 10 at Lowe's for like
Maybe
$2 or $3.
20%, 25%.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't cheap. So
Is that two 18650s?
it'll go forever on there.
Yeah, those are good.
Program looping, okay.
I was asking him how much code do you think, he said there's probably a lot of loops and get
Yeah.
repetitive code.
So I actually thought the code might be more,
Are you gonna show the code?
maybe.
Maybe. You didn't say it very confidently.
Yeah.
Thought the code might be interesting, just because.
He's going right through on choreography.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Control
Now
shift.
he's slowing down.
Yeah.
No,
slow moving.
he's getting ready to.
run out of juice.
No, he's doing that thing in the movie
yeah.
in the show where in the song it slows down and everybody starts moving kind of slow and they go dun 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 dun. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that
right.
song.
Calm down.
I like the song.
Do you think did that video come out like 30 years ago?
87.
It's been a while, yeah.
31 years.
This is the code that's running on it right now.
I was just out of college.
What are you watching?
This is it. Criminal, smooth criminal official video.
You're not sharing it, so
I think he's gonna pop it up there so you can look at the genuine article.
I had to move it over to the.
I'm curious. He's got me curious. Is this before Michael Jackson caught his hair on fire or after? Remember like the Pepsi commercial? Where his hair caught on fire?
I'm not sharing it now.
Probably all that
Did it
hair
break?
spray in
I
there.
don't see it.
Oh, it'll probably blow up.
Yeah, I remember it. I don't remember.
Well, you casted it for about 2 seconds, and then it went away.
That's the best I could do.
Well, you know, it doesn't do videos well.
Yeah, that's our final thing on that. Maybe we can get the music going.
So, this is the code for the auto. It's the smooth criminal code that's on here. And for whatever reason, auto calls the upper servo YR and YL, and the lower ones are RR and RL, which left and right I got, but I'm not real sure why it's called Y and R. But that's really the only thing I had to change.
The right foot tilted right and the right foot tilted left maybe,
I have no idea.
and then a number left 4 and then right 7.
Well, okay, so the numbers are actually where they wanted their service hooked up to on the auto. So down here, I had to change that to the numbers that they wanted, that Sunfounder had it hooked up to. And that's really the only change I made in this code. But it does a dozen different moves.
How many total lines of code is this?
So what library is this in?
Well, there's a couple of different libraries. It's part of the auto package. If you go to,
I saw the servo library.
yeah,
But I didn't see the other library.
there's a oscillating library and a timing library and something else. It's all included in the auto package.
Pretty darn detailed.
So you want to know how many lines? I don't know how many lines.
Yeah, about
500.
yeah.
Not as bad. Not bad. 546-ish.
Now he's showing it right here.
With no comments.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's well documented, I would say.
I'm not. Do you recognize?
It's in Spanish.
Is that Spanish?
Yes.
What a story.
So you might know why it says.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty.
Right. Right foot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that.
All the variables are in Spanish.
I'm pretty sure that the auto project was created from. I know it came from Europe. I just not real. I didn't know it. It probably came from Spain. Maybe you know why it says YR, and would that mean upper?
Right. I was looking for something in English with a right, but I think it's something in Spanish.
Yeah, see, it shows where the servos, or how the servos are attached, but I haven't.
That was at the height of MTV.
It's just close enough. It's just close enough to know, you know.
What's the EDA from library?
They still have MTV.
That's included in the Arduino IDE.
Okay.
So the auto project does something a little bit different than what Sunfounder did. They take the calibration settings and write them into EEPROM so that you don't have to keep rewriting them over and over again.
That makes sense.
It does, but if you only upload one sketch and let it run, you don't necessarily need to keep reading the EEPROM either. I mean, you can just set your settings up and go.
Some people watch it for hours.
Like
Hours and hours.
I'll show you. I'll show you the Sunfounder code.
You check the values of the aircraft,
Yeah.
check the checksum, and say, okay, these values. Those values are okay, and don't touch.
Well,
If not,
there's-
they have a default value the first time.
there's
Jimmy Jackson.
there's another code that I did not run from Auto where you can calibrate the servos just like you can with the Sunfounder code. And once you get the calibration done, you unlock that one. You uncomment one of the defines, and automatically writes those out to the thing, and then all the autocode will read those values back in and just use them, so you don't have to keep changing.
You don't have to do it by trial and error.
Yeah. Sunfounder did it a little bit different. It's kind of the same. It's not the same. They're not writing stuff to the EEPROM, but it's kind of the same idea. But they said once it's calibrated, you just lock the calibration settings into the code and you just let it go. So they've also, instead of making an actual library for that you have installed, they just include their library. So this is their program, and see it says RU, RL, LU.
One little mistake.
So they're using the new ping library, and they're using the variable speed servo library, which is apparently something they wrote for it.
That's not in the Arduino ID.
No,
Just to make the movement smooth.
it makes the movement smooth. Yeah. Then you, right here is where you put your calibration settings in. So they give you some default calibration.
Center for, each,
Yeah.
axle.
Yeah. When you're actually building this, you're supposed to center it out.
That is a nut, guys. It looks like a nut.
It's coming off your gyrator.
Oh, what's the difference? Small difference.
It's boogieing itself.
It is teeny tiny.
It's
That's a
becoming
real.
undone.
I can't tell if it's a nut or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
really small.
Yeah.
It's like the size of a
Like
pin
an
on a
M1
head.
nut?
Head on a
It
pin.
is. It's a teeny tiny one. That came off of one of the servos.
You have to put those on with a torque wrench next time.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
Did not come off of one of the servos. Where?
Yeah, you,
Oh.
it's gone now.
Oh.
Where's anybody got a magnet?
Use your glasses.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
looking. See any shining things shining or anything?
And Sensei's got a magnet on his glasses.
He's got a
He doesn't
magnet
have
on
his
his
split
flash.
glasses today. And Sensei, don't you have your split glasses?
Yeah, that's a magnet, but I don't know if that's big enough.
Is it right here? Thought I saw it shining.
Yeah, there. That came out of one of those servos. Yeah, right there.
Oh, that's the
Wow.
Jim's the
One of
in
the
Eli.
little teeny tiny,
First I thought
flipping.
it was a thing of solder.
Well, you got
So you got
this.
the screw and the nut now?
Yeah,
Yep.
both of them.
Good find.
They're put them together, so they're really small.
Yeah, they look like M1s.
Yeah, sure.
They came out.
Yeah. He just said that. Art, you just said that so confidently. Yeah.
Yep, right there.
No,
That's. I
You
think.
dealt with
I
them
think-
before?
All those little metric screws.
I don't know where it came from.
It's amazing that you even saw it.
Okay, there's the nut.
Anyway.
You got something, you put it in so you're not gonna lose it?
This thing does a Michael Jackson dance.
Not anymore.
Well, one of the nuts and the little screws fell out, but it was dancing for what, 15 minutes? He showed the code up there.
I guess I'll just have to stick this in my pocket.
Oh, man.
We have a little baggie or something we
I
can
would
put
say
it in.
an empty water bottle might be your best bet to not lose the
Hey,
paper bag or something.
think it on your feet.
Okay, what you got there?
That'll work.
Or if you need a bottle, here's I just got finished drinking.
That's a much better than just sticking it in my pocket.
No, that's so small. So small. I mean, I'm surprised you just,
It's one of the little tiny screws that actually is holding the servo together. So I didn't have anything that
Well,
size.
You missed all the
there
Michael
are-
Jackson moves.
There are screws at the corner of the servo
Right.
body. I believe all four corners have.
Screwed out of it.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
see, it's that long.
yeah, I think you deduced it correctly.
Well, I know that I did not put any screw in there that was that
You
small.
need to buy more of those. There's a hobby shop up
I need to take a little bit of super
on,
glue or something and stick on them.
22/3 close to Fields Erdel. There's a hobby shop out there that sells that kind of stuff.
Hobby, I'm trying to
So-
think, cause I go down that road.
It's off. It's a little strip mall off of.
Is it near,
Look.
Costco and King's Auto Mall
It
and all
actually
that?
lost another
further-
screw too.
Further way out.
It actually lost one of the big screws.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one go.
me either. That may be at the house.
Is it further up towards
You know
Landon or
what?
further down?
It didn't lose one.
It's right
Like I
next to
said,
Cemetery
They gave me
Road.
almost
Okay.
everything
Oh,
I
yeah.
needed. I stole that one to use it somewhere else.
I know where you're talking.
But they gave me almost all the screws that I needed. I found it. I know where it came from. Yeah,
They're right underneath the eye.
right underneath the eye. Okay, easy enough. I can fix that. At least I don't have to take the whole thing back apart. So where was I? I don't know.
You're right there, I can see it.
So the calibration,
So how long did it take you to put this together again? 2 hours,
couple hours.
couple hours.
That was off and on. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of stopped and screwed
Yeah.
around for a little while.
Makes sense. I'll tell you what, if you didn't take a break, if you didn't have a magnifying glass, you start going cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Those small
Actually,
screws.
it was very easy to build. It was actually much easier to build than it looks complicated. It looks like there's a lot going on, and there's really not. I need to go back through and tighten all those screws back
Yeah.
up, but it almost all the parts. That's all I can say. Almost all the parts.
Almost all of them.
Like most of the cars I ever owned.
And the rounded
Well-
screws worked at the bottom of the feet, they work okay.
Yeah, they're not right.
Not right, yeah.
That may be why it rattles so much.
Yeah, nice tap sound.
But you got the calibration saying when you put this together, it has you stop, power up each individual servo, and when you power them up, they home to wherever, to 90 degrees or wherever, and you put the servo horn on it, tighten it down, move to the next one, and do the same thing. So when they tell you, that it should be both legs are facing 90 degrees when they start and everything, that it should be pretty close. So the calibration might be off just a little bit. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
So you time the mechanical elements with software or mechanically or both?
Software. So you just run one program, and right here,
Okay.
When
so
it-
you're right.
when it says comment install, and that is when you're just testing the servos to just get them roughly where they belong, and then you go to calibrate. Once you get the whole thing put together, and then you go to calibrate, and then calibration actually takes the longest part. Calibration actually took pretty long, and I ended up going back to their original settings a couple of times because it just didn't quite. It was better.
Yeah.
It was better at the base than it
Right.
was after I
Yeah.
screwed around with it. And then run, we'll let it. This program actually uses the ultrasonic, and it'll walk around and avoid stuff. So, pretty interesting. And then they've got their own thing of dancing, which, like I said, once you get the calibration settings, you just copy those over to the sketch you need, and right there. So I understand what the auto project was doing. It was making it so you didn't have to copy them, but I don't know really what the difference is. But this one here uses part of the Smooth Criminal stuff and some part of their own stuff. And you can see they do it quite a bit different than how Auto does it.
It's called Hobby Town, and it's on Union Cemetery Road, which is right off of 22/3.
Okay.
Hobby Town.
Hobby.
Hobby Town, not Hobby Lobby.
That's more crass.
This is the Sunfounder
something.
dance routine. This is the one that Sunfounder
You've been to Hobby Town?
made,
No, I don't have.
and they've used part of. They, for whatever reason, they did not call it Smooth Criminal, but that's kind of what it is. It's kind of the same.
So all these methods are in one of those libraries, right?
Mhm.
I can think of one across.
Mhm.
They got Costco, that goes right past you.
So
Yeah, I was thinking off the Union Center.
that's Auto
Not that way out.
/ Spark.
Montgomery Road, Field Girl, they're
And
all
you've got
together.
their own library that they made for this.
Got 'em all.
You've got
That's where Hamilton County, Warren County.
slow move.
Yeah.
There.
You've got sequence play.
So these are all, this is documentation, all those methods.
Yeah. I'm not real sure why they just didn't make that a library and have you put it in the library, but each one of their programs, they've got it just as its own thing. So that's the sloth. I also bought this roll arm, which is a clone of a me arm, I think.
It's a what arm?
Roll arm.
Roll arm?
Roll ROLL.
Okay.
Hey, Jeremy.
Also made by Sunfounder. I found this. Sunfounder wants $76 for this thing. I've been finding them on eBay for like 30. So,
And 6 months delivery, right?
no, I found them here in the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got this one in 2 or 3 days.
You didn't get that from Sunfounder.
No, it was actually billed as being used, but it was brand new. Was never out of the box. I just bought another one that I found on eBay for $30 that's missing the battery. And I said,
Okay.
You have to bring it there.
So how do you know this is almost identical to the one on the screen?
it is identical.
Oh, it is.
It's a Sunfounder.
I don't know if we get down that far.
It's made out of device, but you got it from a
Maybe
different
it will.
place than Sunfounder.
But you gotta move it forward. The problem is with this, I don't think you have any transverse or movement, right? I mean, it's strictly the arm moves. There's no way to move the whole
Right.
apparatus back.
Unless, of course, you're ingenious and you attach wheels to it or something.
Yes. I think it's just beyond the graph.
It's so
Yeah.
close. This is basically a clone of another project too. Or since the other project's open source, it's
Like Auto.
yeah. not really a clone. It's
There you go. He did it, he did it.
I'm actually the thing that kind of got me with this one was the Uno board that they use.
Yeah.
They're using a USB-C cable to power it, and they give you the cable, which is a nice USB-C cable. But I was like, it's a pretty funky board, and so when I saw the other me arm or the other roll arm up on eBay for $30, I said, I don't care if it doesn't have a battery. You don't really need the battery because it
You got the,
gets power from the USB. So I'll pass this one around because the Uno
you are
board,
moving one servo at a time,
yeah,
and the robot may be moving the 4 servos
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
A lot of current.
the this one here's got a power switch on the Uno board that actually shuts off the entire board, which I thought, that's kind of special. So I kind of bought the other one just for the Uno board because I was like, that's a really cool board. It's another one. It was super easy to put together. You get to a couple of steps and you stop and you calibrate the servos, and basically there's no calibration after it's done. It's rough. It's a rough set anyway because you control it with the potentiometers anyway. Which I don't know where the potentiometers went. The caps, they're not on there real well, so if that's why one's missing, because it's laying on the floor at the house. Again, it was another one of those deals where they gave me almost all the right screws. Almost. Not quite.
They know you like it like that.
But amazingly enough, between
Challenge and
between the screws that were left over from this and the screws that were missing from that, boom, done.
It was meant to be.
So 2 hours for the arm also?
Actually, I don't think it took anywhere near. Actually, it may have. The arm's actually more complicated than the robot. You've got the gripper thing. You actually got to get it lined up pretty close. The software for the arm is pretty simple.
Reading the box and checking the.
so these are all
Exactly.
RG45s?
Those are 12s, I think.
These are 12? Okay.
They're either 11 or 12. Yeah.
So you use those glasses to work, do your close work?
No, I just got those. I found those at the
did you?
thrift store. I brought them just so I could.
So this is 3 servos, right?
There's 4.
4. Oh, okay, both ends of that.
Boy, it really
There you go.
magnifies.
Yeah.
You imitate, you see all the space. Stephen
Access
Ray.
would be better in back.
Imitate Stephen Ray.
It's not perfect. Have you seen any of these projects that are actually perfect?
ARPA is looking for security programming.
The other, I'm not real sure why they went with potentiometers either, because the other arms I've seen have used like a sliding potentiometer instead of a turning potentiometer.
Yeah, so there was like security people.
Yeah.
Security people for Internet of Things mainly, they're starting to realize
This-
that they're national needs, and they're trying to consolidate.
If you hit the button and you program, you can actually program it to, it will remember, and then you could hit the button again and it will do the autos has loosened up a little bit, so I'd be a little careful with him. But yeah, you can hit the button.
Yeah, that's why it's never gonna end.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I would say that position,
Do you?
move and save, move and save.
No, you hit it once and it will store up to like 100 different moves, and then you hit it again and it'll repeat those moves. I think that's how it was.
If you're in security, I'd keep
But
it
this,
on.
their servo calibration program is super simple. This is it. Servo, start, move. And if it moves to anywhere close to that, you're good. Because, like I said, it just needs to be rough because you're moving it with this thing anyway.
This bag has a hole in it.
Uh-oh.
On the side, it came out the hole.
Why are you messing with it?
I just saw that hole. So probably what you need to do is roll them. Because on the edge to the top, there's a hole in the bag.
It's a holy bag.
It's a holy
holy
bag.
bag.
If you roll it enough, I think it'll stay toward the bottom of it.
On the door where it says meeting room, I spy pieces of tape on the corners of it.
I'm not as worried. There are extra parts and other
Go to
stuff.
Hobby Town. Or Hobby Town, that's what he said it was.
You know, Hobby Town is the place where you can buy the small metric screws and nuts. Of course, you can get them online at Amazon also.
Is that the kind of thing you get from Alibaba if you buy 1,000 or 20,000?
No, but you can buy assortments at Amazon
Yeah.
for like $5, so.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So you just have a reserve cache of little nuts.
Let's see here.
Are they coded so they only go the right way?
No, of course not.
So you try it one way and if it doesn't work, you try it the other way, is that the deal?
I think it's 1 and 2. I think that's. I don't remember the orientation of that thing there.
But I was looking at it, the magnetite.
I was gonna try it to, cause it will actually remember.
Follow each other and everything.
Oh, it does not like that, does it?
Whoa. It's a road. It's a road.
Watch your neck. Watch your
Like
neck.
Like an ambulance cut off in a horror movie.
And that's how it's gonna end for all of us someday.
Okay, we won't do that again, will we?
Rule number 1.
What the heck do we do? Stuff
So
like
they
that.
snapped inside?
I did piss it off.
I can see it now, the news.
Leroy gets killed by a bunch of
Yeah,
robots.
out here.
Robotic
Odd
screw,
death.
first homicide.
Worldwide.
So Thomas,
There's something. There you go. Something's working.
So you just got to get the wires right? Okay, so
That's generally true. That's a rule of electrical engineering.
101.
so we
Just
hit the
gotta get
button.
the wires right.
Let's see if we can.
Thing looks like it's bowing or something.
Yeah.
Boy, you can waste hours playing with that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can see it next week, he'll have imbued consciousness into the thing.
Yeah. You need the conductor, you just put them on and.
I know I actually did have. There it goes. Now it's doing its.
Oh, it's remembering.
It's remembering actions.
Oh, okay.
So does it remember the timing also?
Apparently. It'll just keep doing that over and over again until you stop it. I think it will remember like 100 steps or something.
So, it's what robots are ideal for is repetitive action.
Just shove
Yep.
all the positions in an array.
Well,
Array
see, that's kind of what I say. You could get rid of the potentiometers altogether if you just make your array up just to do it.
It's a little big. I think that's might be a little.
They grab this.
Things looks like a praying mantis.
Squishy.
What's gonna happen when it's too big and it tries to clamp down on it?
This got more,
Push away the
Pushing
bottom.
the strip gears,
That's
it
harder.
probably slipped, I hope.
Too heavy.
I'd take the cap off the cap. I think that's probably safe.
You get the cap one time. This is more squishy, wider.
It's not, the
Try
numbers
this.
aren't big enough
That's
for
got
it.
lighter, it's lighter.
No, there's no fourth. There's no fourth. It's. I'm surprised to pick up the bottle cap, honestly.
And pick up that M1 screw and, no.
I looked at all the servos there and I couldn't see a corner screw missing, so I don't know where that came from.
Oh, I found it.
It's underneath the eye.
Yeah, it's underneath the ultrasonic.
Oh,
I see.
so it's not off the
You
servo.
see
It's not
three
off
of
the
them.
servo. I don't remember putting it there, so my brain is not remembering stuff. We're back to remembering what I told it to do 5 minutes ago. I think I've added steps to it. Obviously, I did not make this one all pretty. They gave me, the stuff to stick around the wires and everything. I just didn't make it pretty. But it runs. I'm like really impressed with that stupid, Uno board. That
This is a classic screw.
classic-ish. I mean, it's their own variation of it.
It's a classic knockoff.
But it's not the micro or the mini.
No, it's right here. Right there's a big picture of it. Yep. It's at Mega 328p.
Where is the reset button? I don't see the reset button.
It would be up here.
Right next to
The USB-C connector.
upper, is that what that is?
That's what that is, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and this right down here, that is the power switch. Right next to the power connector thingy-mabob.
got the voltage regulator built in?
It's an interesting board. It is actually it's the second board I've bought recently that has used USB-C. I take that back. It's the third board I bought recently that's used USB-C. USB-C is the new thing.
What is C? A, B, and C is what?
C is, it's high power.
Is it the
Plastic
3.0,
channel,
the 3.0 specification, or?
It
it's actually 3.1.
it doesn't have a it's generic. It
Oh, okay.
doesn't have a polarity. You can plug it in upside down.
Oh,
And on my new laptop, it's the charger.
So you
There's
can
no
use this
charger
cord
port on my
that.
new laptop.
Better get a better charger, better on these, on an older device. It's more powerful.
Don't know. I mean,
You
this
can't
is
put it
still a
in backwards
USB
is the
2
important thing.
port on it, so
Yes, it's
Uh-huh.
universal.
What's the pin out?
it's quite a bit different.
It's symmetrical. We'll even let Jeremy see it.
Yeah,
This is a USB-C.
it's actually the third. It's actually the third board that I've bought that.
That board comes with it? That's a wonderful thing. What a wonderful invention.
It's a better cord.
Yeah,
It looks
we need to
substantial.
start
It looks
using
pretty
that.
sturdy.
Completely reversible in the legacy USB
Pretty
micro?
sturdy there.
It's not backward compatible.
Well,
This
no,
this
It's a
no.
different connector.
I still have to plug that in one way,
Yeah,
but
that
this
can go either way.
either way it doesn't matter.
On an older device.
Thank
So
God.
it doesn't care
But
what.
eventually that will probably be the standard. When
No,
It's the same button, but it has
It's-
the
they
size.
make newer
pins.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
It's just
that's like-
flip.
I mean, because the USB now they have different size.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
narrower.
so
and it contains a whole lot. I mean, it can do. Like I said, my new laptop. That's the charging.
One end is definitely
So
wider.
I
this
could
will
put-
plug into my,
But each little.
Not your old one.
If that's an old phone, then no.
It's a new
It's
format.
not compatible.
Oh, you
That's
can roll one, you
very
can- oh,
smart.
that's- oh, that's micro.
Very smart, but
It sort of looks like a micro, but it's not.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's out
the
there.
micro has a flat on one side and a D shape on the other side.
You can kind of look down in there and you can see there's a ton of pins in there. So it's going to a legacy device, but
Yeah.
the actual USB-C connector
It's
has,
got 24 pins.
yeah, there's a ton of pins up in there.
24, wow. They're going more like the Apple, is that more like the Apple?
I know that on the laptop I can plug video stuff
Well,
into it.
standard, right?
Yeah,
The new phones has.
yeah. If you were to buy a new phone, it would probably
Has the C connector.
a C connector. Cool. I think my do what?
How much current can it take?
I don't know, a lot. The
What's the spec, Marcus?
I was looking for it. I kind of found it.
the I think my laptop I can bring video out on the USB-C. I can do something else.
How long is it?
I think it's got Ethernet built into it.
He said the earlier USB-Cs are cracked.
9.
Must be able to carry a minimum of 3 amps, up to 60 watts at 20 volts. Some of them are 3 amps.
Yeah, it says 20 volts. Actually, it says
Amazing,
5 amps.
amazing cord doesn't get hot.
I tell you
That
what,
3 amps is really not.
that new Chromebook I've got that uses it, it charges fast and nothing gets hot. It's just yeah, it's totally amazing. And I can plug it in. Apparently, some of the laptops you can only plug it into a port that's specified to be the charging but on mine, I can plug it into any of the USB-C ports and it'll charge it. And I said, that's cool. Of course, I've only got 3 USB-C ports, but it's still cool.
They said that the data rate's gonna go up to 10
Yeah.
gigabytes.
Yeah,
10 gigabits.
it contains, does it say that it contains Ethernet? Because I think it contains Ethernet and video or something.
Built-in port for DisplayPort video.
DisplayPort.
And 4-channel audio.
Audio, okay. I knew I could plug something in and get video out, but I didn't really know what it was.
I guess
So,
as I was explaining to him, there is a bit of a caveat in that, like, because the spec is a bit more complicated than previous ones.
Yeah.
A lot of the earlier chords
Don't-
are
Yeah, they
bad and outright harmful. I have seen a couple instances of device damage due to
that's
bad
why
chords.
Amazon pulled USB-C
Yeah, I know they
cables for
had
a while.
pulled like a lot of those off.
Because they're not all the same. Not all the cables are the same.
He said it could actually be harmful.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of instances of
In what,
phone damage.
in what particular way?
Like it, like to get like well, some of the early ones got made incorrectly, and then so it would kill your battery because the current would be wrong.
If
Not cool.
there's like 24 pins inside of this little teeny tiny connector, and if it's not right, and you're putting voltage on one of the things that you're not supposed to put voltage on, that could be a bad thing.
Particularly if you're sinking 3 amps to it.
If you're creating a dead short, it
That's
could
like,
do that really easy too.
that's like smoke.
Oh look, I let
What's
factory smoke
Thunderbolt?
out.
Looks like Thunderbolt is a competitor to that.
So like at some point I actually took a bunch of the cheap core. The guy's like, oh, screw it up.
Yeah.
I replaced a bunch of my cores. Like, no, I'm not.
This cord came with this board. Not that it, I think it's a decent cord. It feels okay, but I know USB-C it's the cool new thing.
Yeah, Apple actually had an exchange program going to take back all of their USB-Cs.
Yep.
So you have,
So they're
Had a-
using lightning cables.
well, they actually have something I guess they were using had those on there, and then they had to do a buyback or something.
They probably just exchange it for
Yeah.
good cables.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what
The
Amazon
problem
did.
is that the connector is standard, but the cables, some of them only have USB and power, doesn't have audio or doesn't have high speed. Because it's possible to put 24 cables, right?
Yeah.
In the core. And each cable is made for a different function, and you need to know what the cable is for. You know the connector, but you don't know if the cable will work.
The USB 3C 3.1 includes a chip that contains an ID function on the configuration channel and vendor-defined messages. So it knows.
Those are made in Germany.
So it's a smart cable is what it is.
It has an ID in it.
It can be.
It
Not all
doesn't
of them
have to
are
be.
smart. Yeah,
The
not all of them.
3.1, they're talking about the 3.1 spec.
It has a provision to be smart.
Just don't go and buy cheap. USB-C cables, you do not want to buy the cheap cables. You actually want to buy good cables for them.
Yeah,
You
it's not
heard
much
it
of a
here.
problem now anymore. I mean, I think at this point, pretty much any deal we get from Amazon.
Amazon's probably all right because they did do a huge.
They probably
They have burn ones.
They have
They have
a
burn.
bunch of the shops kind of just cleared out all the stuff.
That was when I first heard that there were a bunch of bad USB-C cables floating around. Was when Amazon said, "Send them back, destroy them, don't use them, do something with them. We'll give you money or we'll send you a new cable." okay.
The ID function is based on the configuration channel and vendor-defined messages. So it tells you something about the configuration and change.
Well, that's kind of how USB was supposed to be in the first place. They were supposed to ID themselves and didn't just install drivers automatically.
Well, they do.
Well,
They are ID.
Automation.
I think that's what I got.
There is a bit of stupidity where it's like if you have the USB-C to a USB-C, there is a bit of stupidity in where it tries to figure out which device should be charging.
Let's wait for the D cable, the next one.
Oh yeah, the USB-D cables.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's
you
the solution.
charge that way.
There will always be.
So you start some sort of,
No, it decided it was gonna go that way. I think there's
My-
supposed to be some kind of way to switch it, but no.
My old Motorola phone, the old Moto X I had, I plugged it into something, and the phone said that it was going to charge the thing when it was supposed to be the other way, and that was an old thing, and I'm like, what do you mean you're taking
Yeah,
your
losing
battery
power.
away to charge? But I had a bad USB cable. I changed the cable and it worked fine. Yeah, I was like, but supposedly the old Moto X could do that. It could actually charge another phone in an emergency. It was kind of an
so
interesting.
it's like siphoning gas from your tank to somebody else's tank.
Yeah, because it would kill your phone to do it. But my wife's phone ran out of juice one day, and I plugged it in for about 5 minutes and got her enough juice to make a couple of phone calls. Ended up killing my phone for like 15, 20 minutes earlier than it should have.
Loss in that.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a.
One-to-one. It's not a one-to-one switch.
I really kind of went. I wonder if this is a feature or if this is a feature.
This is a Microsoft feature.
If this is
Frank's
something
not
that they
here.
planned for it to actually do, or if this was just a byproduct.
I bought a cable with a C connector in both ends from AliExpress, and 2 boards with all the breakout connections to try. It's a lot of cables in a very flexible way, to move
Oh yeah, yeah,
from one breadboard to another. To make, for example, this kind of thing,
yeah.
we need
So-
to use this because you have a lot of cables to do that.
See, I thought this was a strange choice too, because if they're only using
It's not flexible enough.
There are 4 lines or 6 lines.
2, 4,
Maybe 6 or 8.
looks like there's 6. Looks like there's 6.
6.
And
Six
I just thought that was a weird. But if they're both using 6, that's 12. So Ethernet wouldn't work. There's got to be a different cable they could have used than 2.
Maybe they are really cheap also.
Yeah. And I think that
They can
Lego
put-
uses something like this,
Ah.
don't they? Don't the Lego Nexus NX robot? Don't they use something like
I know what you're talking about.
because
Those type of connectors are really reliable and easy and
Those
brand
are
new.
yeah, that's a little bearing.
Not very flexible.
There's two bearings in there,
very good.
but there's
But,
that shield that's on top. You can plug other It's got 2 more ports for it, which is more than enough. And I think Lego uses a connector. It uses that same connector. Anyway, it's like 10 till, so I'm going to shut down now. I don't know anything else. I know nothing else. I'm done.
Anybody have anything for next week? Anybody wanna do anything next week?